thing, I got some limits. The hole you dig is going to be critical. I can't dig a hole for a concrete tank and put this in there. I've got to over dig a hole, because the exaggerated or the compressed soil, compacted soil in these corrugations are what is going to give this tank its structural integrity, okay? So I've got to, by law, over dig a tank by a minimum of 18 inches all the way around. So my tank hole, Rob, is going to be pretty big.
Absolutely.
It's going to be big because Jonathan's got to get in it, and I got to do some step work like this, right? Or like a wheelbarrow handle, some run. Just bump it down. Make sure I nestle soil in those corrugations. The first 6 to 12 inches, really critical. It's frankly really critical all the way up to the mid-seam. Because if I barely overdig this tank hole and I leave no gap right there and I put clumpy clay soils in, what's the chance it's going to bridge right here and not go down here? If it bridges and I don't get soil nestled and snugly up against those corrugations, when I put water in this tank will flex and fill that void space, and then my round holes become ovals, right? Structural integrity is compromised on the tank. So I'm careful to backfill the tank. What I'm going to backfill with, I need to be careful with. I have people ask me, Rob, should I go get sand and backfill? Well, some areas maybe, but if I'm in Davidson County or Rowan County today in clay soils and I backfill with sand, I've created a bathtub around my tank and nothing good happens after that. So I want flowable material. If it's got great big clumps like this, I got to break that up or find something different, right? And I want to compact it around this tank. It's going to take a little longer than doing a concrete tank install, and I have to understand that. But when I get a specialty tool out of the drawer to do carpentry work or anything else, I accept the fact this is not a claw hammer. It's not going to be as quick and easy. This is the tool for the job I've selected. I need to follow the instructions. So I backfill up to the mid-seam typically, and that's kind of where I stop until my inspection happens. What that does, it allows my inspector to see that I've overdug the appropriate amount, that I backfilled properly up to that level, okay? You with me so far? So now we're going to have to make some other determinations about water table. If the water table is from here to here, it's legal, but I may have to make some anti-buoyancy decisions. I may have to strap this tank down if the water table is from here to here. If there's going to be less than 12 inches of cover on the tank and the water table is here to here, I'm going to need to strap on the 1000, okay? So if I have to strap, let's say my water table's right here, I can legally use it, but I'm worried about it. There's spots up here that tell me where to put my strap on here. And so we're going to carry similar straps to this. They're going to come across the top of the tank, and they're going to be to some kind of anti-buoyancy measure over here. One thing that's commonly used are 24-inch by 24-inch concrete tank lids. Just a septic tank lid. Here, here, there, and there. It's not the weight of the tank lid that holds anything down. That's not enough. It is the weight of the soil on that tank lid. So we're after surface area. Some people say, well, Jonathan, I'm going to use parking bumpers. That's fine, but the parking bumpers you use have to have enough surface area. You can't, the parking bumpers from the Lowe's or Walmart parking lot are 5 feet long and 4 inches wide. They're these little Honda Civic parking bumpers. You'd actually have to go to a truck stop and steal the parking bumpers, right? 12 inches wide, 6 feet long, probably not realistic. But the other thing we see in some parts of the state, I have guys that use mobile home anchors, drill helical anchors into the bottom of the tank hole to do that. And there are other things that you could use, even 6x6s with some crosses on there. There's some information on their manufacturer's guidelines about different mechanisms. The most common to me is the concrete septic tank lids with the steel rebar handle on, right? So those would be, and when I put those those anti-buoyancy measures on, I cannot tuck them under the tank. If I tuck them under the tank, the weight of the soil column can't be exerted on that anti-buoyancy measure. It's got to be pulled out in the hole as far as I can to make sure there's a continuous column of weight on there. All right, so I've now got my tank in place. it's in the proper place because the soil wetness condition has been accounted for. That means it puts extra burden on my regulator, does it not? My soils evaluator, because if I'm going to use plastic, what do I have to also evaluate? The tank hole, right? I've got to understand the wetness condition at that tank hole. So now it's in the right place. I've dug the right hole. I've backfilled it up to the mid seam. I'm feeling good about it, and I need to make my pipe penetrations. Okay? The tank comes with grommets. I still catch people across the state saying, I don't have the hole saw that's appropriate, and I don't want to use the grommet because it's snug fit, and so they take a steel farm boss, 24-inch bar, and they stick it in here and turn it sideways, or they get their pocket knife out and carve a hole. You can't do that. I need what size hole saw to make these penetrations? Do you guys have a 5-inch hole saw on this truck? Can I hold it? All right. So this is going to be my outlet end right here, and I know that because outlet's written right here, right? So the arbor inside of here is going to be put on this dimple right here, right? And I'm going to drill a 5-inch hole in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start it, turn in the normal direction, and when it bites, I'm going to stop. You'll break your stinking wrist. I'm going to put my drill in reverse, and I'm going to drill in reverse, and it will very smoothly cut a hole out for me without breaking my wrist on that plastic when I do that, right? And so I'm going to resist the temptation to get my pocket knife out and trim that hole bigger, right? And so once I do that, and I've drilled my hole out, then I got a grommet. You got a grommet for these things? They're in the tank, okay. So it's a 5-inch grommet, it snaps in there. If you take a 4-inch pipe, which is what you're going to penetrate with, and try to just push it dry through there, you will lose. You are not a big enough man to do it. It's going to take more than spit, okay? It's going to take some lube, and you guys are going to say, well, I don't have anything. You're going to go to your machine, you're going to pull your dipstick out, and you're going to take that petroleum-based lube and put on that rubber grommet, and you are going to doom that rubber grommet. Don't do that. We need some type of non-petroleum-based lubricant on that grommet. And so what I want you to do, Dawn dishwash liquid in a pinch. The bad thing about Dawn in the summertime, it dries real quick and gets hard. There's some plumber's lube that's out there. You guys probably sell crazy stuff, right? Duck butter, what else?
Is it on the trailer? You got it on the trailer?
Come on. We need absolutely need some. So, nobody, other plumber lubes or things that are out there, there's duck butter and other things like that that are common in the industry. Anything to lube that up that won't break that plastic down. And I'm going to do something special with that 4-inch pipe. I'm going to cut it like I'm going to stab Rob and kill him with it. Sharp, crazy angle on it. When I cut that sharp, crazy angle, I'm going to be able to go in and twist, and as I do, it'll just go right in the hole. If I cut a perfectly square cut on it and try to push it in there, even with lube, it's hateful. So an angle cut, then when I go inside, I'll push it through, re-square my pipe up, right? All right, so now I made my penetration over here. The inlet also has a dimple. People look at these things and they think, well, I can drill my holes wherever I want. You're not getting the 1,000-gallon tank if you drill it way down here. You're not getting the amount of freeboard if you drill it way up here. It's critical that you drill it there. So critical, I beg the regulators when you do these to ask you for the cutout on every one of them, so I can see that the arbor for that drill bit went into that dimple and you drilled it at the right elevation. So I've actually got my elevation difference, but I got a daggum problem. The outlet on an infiltrator tank is actually 3 inches lower than the inlet because it's sold nationally. In North Carolina, we only want 2 inches, right? So I get to legally either move this one up or that one down. Which one am I going to do? So I leave this one where it is. If I move this one up, I lose freeboard space in the tank, right? So leave the outlet where it is. I will come, especially if it's new construction, I got fall, I just drill them where they are. But on a repair where I'm trying to match a 2-inch inlet outlet where it was a concrete tank, I'm going 1 inch below that one to drill my hole.